I do remember there being a bit of a story about not being able to really get very much of, or not being able to really get the funding easily for this film. Now, that's been because it's about Donald Trump, and it's called The Apprentice. It came out last year, and it's about Donald Trump in the early years. And another big comment about, and a big argument, and a big, I suppose, headline about this film is that when it focused on the scene of inappropriate sexual activity between Trump and his wife, Ivana Trump. Whether that took place or not is a discussion to be had, I suppose. Not here, but that's a discussion that did take place before this film. It is, I have to say, great. It isn't about the Donald Trump that you would expect. The writer, Gabriel Sherman, I'm making sure that I can see this, and director Ali Abbasi have given us something that you wouldn't normally expect. And maybe that's the problem for this movie. I'm just going to check whether it made its money back. It did, just. And you might expect that with all the Donald Trump stuff and the presidency and all the rest of it, that it might have been a bigger hit. But there are two reasons for this. It's because I think it focuses on the early days. So it focuses on Donald taking over the family, not taking over the family business, but being the second. His father, Fred, is a massive figure in this. And then, so he's just around to do he's just getting going. So they're being sued regarding the issue of black and white tenants and the allegation that tenants of colour don't get tenancies or have to pay more money and all of that, more rent and all of that. And his father, played by Martin Donovan, is a disbelieving and, windy pops, and really large figure. He casts a large shadow. And so does his brother, Fred, played by Charlie Carrick, who didn't want the story is that he didn't want what is truth in these post-truth days, eh? But the story is that he didn't want the business. He didn't want to work in the business. He was the older brother. He became an airline pilot and then succumbed to substance abuse. And it is thought that is why Donald didn't drink and didn't do drugs, and that sets him apart. And it makes him seem different. So this movie is about that, and when he's starting to build, or when he wants to build his first block in New York City. And it's about getting the tax breaks around that, and it's about the help he had. And really this movie is not about the presidency, and it's not about what Trump did particularly. It's actually about love. And it's actually about relationships. And it's actually about connecting. Because this is really about the relationship with his father and Trump's wish to do something different in a different way to the way his father did it, bigger. You know, when his father was there at the opening at the Trump casino at Atlantic City, he says, I remember that when I built something, this you could see out to the sea 20 stories high, and Donald says something to the I'm paraphrasing, but something like, this is a different thing, Dad. Different thing. you know, and the over-leveraged Trump business portfolio is mentioned a few times. We don't see anything around the struggles financially. That probably comes just after, but that's not what this film is about. It's a love story, as I say. It's a father-son love story. Not Fred, but Donald Trump and Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn, who was the sharp, successful lawyer, not doing things in the way that other lawyers, the establishment would, and that's exactly what Donald Trump wanted. But the way that Roy Cohn, who was, it's thought, gay, and died of complications from AIDS. It's thought, we don't know, it's thought, or do we know? Maybe we do, but I don't think we do. But that's an implication in the movie. And Trump inveigles his way into Roy Cohn's social circle. And Roy Cohn just likes him. And tells him at one point early on in the film, I love you. And it's not a physical love. At no point does Roy Cohn say, well, let's get physical. At no point does he do that. Now, early on you do see his hand on Trump's leg, but you never get that again in this movie. There is a scene in which you see Roy Cohn having sexual intercourse with another man. And Donald Trump stumbles across that at a party. But this is about love and connection and a spurned lover as Trump becomes the man he wants to be, as he builds his empire. Roy, who was usually leading the way, and Trump is in the background when he's saying you need $160 million tax break to build this first tower, and I'm going to use some information I've got on someone to get that. He's always leading the way. You stay there, I'll go and talk to him. Trump is in his wake. Later on, in Atlantic City, we will see Roy Cohn walking behind Trump as Trump is walking away, or is leading the way, and forgetting about the man who made it happen for him. The film suggests no Donald Trump without Roy Cohn. And it also suggests that Donald Trump forgot about Roy Cohn and didn't really want to provide the plaudits for Roy Cohn. But then he brings him to Mar-a-Lago, I think it is, and has a birthday party for the man. When he's very ill and is in a wheelchair and can't walk, and he tells people that he has cancer. And it is part of that love story. And the feeling is, and the performance from Sebastian Stan, which is incredibly likeable and wide-eyed. And the beautiful thing about this is the Trump voice, that kind of Trump voice that everybody does, including me, doesn't really start to appear until he gets more confident. Only at that point, as he starts to speak in headlines, and he starts to pal up with Roger Stone. And that's in the film. It's an allegation, of course, that's in the film. And starts to become the man he wants to become, and has a difficult relationship with Ivana, played with real openness and likability by Maria Bakalova. But then Sebastian Stan, it's a really ballsy performance, because he plays Donald Trump not as the kind of, well, I don't care about anybody. That will come in the script. He doesn't play that. He plays a sort of, I really want to get on, and there's nothing wrong with that, is there? And actually, I'm very likeable. I'm very nice. I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I'm guided by, and I'm drawn by the attention and the money, of course, but for what it can do for me and what it can produce for me. And as he becomes more sure of himself and he thinks that he's impenetrable, then of course he's less likeable. But in the early days, he's incredibly likeable. And that is not the performance you'd expect. Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn, you need a big, strong actor to play Roy Cohn, silent and focused and still. And then later on, completely denuded. And the performance is kind of, even early on, when he's focused, he's open-mouthed in a sort of, I could rip your throat out. And later on, it's open-mouthed in a kind of, I can't quite get my breath. This is the relationship. And Donald Trump, the allegation and the intimation is that he can't form relationships. I don't know if that's the case, but that's the intimation in the film for me. And that love story between Roy Cohn and Donald Trump is not the film that people wanted, I suspect. But it's by far the more exciting film than look at Donald Trump, the businessman. That's where the humanity is. In the people. Never mind the buildings. Never mind the money. It's the people at the basis of that. And the human emotion. And that is where this film is absolutely superb. But not an enormous amount of people are going to say that, are they? Ta-ta.